Do you see more value in architecture like as an object or like as a thinking form?
It's is it a form or is it an object? I don't think so. It's a product that you. It's something that at the end it's an object because it's a building. Maybe sometimes it's not a building; it's just an urban planning. But it's also a place where people, because when you describe architecture as an object, you see it from the outside. And for me, it's not from the outside. It's from the inside and the outside together. So architecture is really connected to a lot of disciplines, and we have to study that. Architecture is not isolated. This is not a self-educated or self-culture. I don't believe in that. Otherwise, it's ideology, and it's not for me. And it's why I always say to the students, I start to think about the students like that. For being self-critical, they have to be able to read, because they have to be able to describe, to explain what they want. If their vocabulary is very short, if their way of writing is very short, because they don't read, it will be a bit minimal.
Can architects really be mediators in today's world? We have this dominance of like the financial aspect of everything. You know, everything has to be described in a certain money value.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult to get a point across where you're trying to get...
This is why nobody wants to have architect now. This is why the general public is hating you.
I wanted to say like a well-established architect, I'm having all these years of well-established
because
practice.
It's important. Because it's important for the future. Because I'm concerned by tomorrow. And because I'm concerned by tomorrow, I would like that the young generation is able to work and to propose solutions for the world, to propose a new way of living, whatever, to integrate the new ways and the new disciplines, the new technology, to make the living better as the humans. This is because I'm concerned by humans and tomorrow.
Why would you come to school to teach when you have like internet and AI and everything? What is the role of architecture?
Not to teach, to help the students. Not to teach. We don't have courses in my school.
What? Yeah, of course.
We don't have a person which is sitting somewhere and the students are listening. This is stupid because they don't listen.
And how does this program function? Pozdrav svima i dobrodošli u današnje specijalno izdanje Sfera podcasta. Današnju epizodu donose nam kompanije Alumil, Groje i Graphisoft koji nas podržavaju od samog početka i njima dugujemo specijalnu zahvalnost, a odnedavno nam se pridružila i kompanija Knauf. Kao što znate, Alumil je inovator u aluminijumskoj arhitekturi i više od 30 godina dizajnira i proizvodi vrhunske aluminijumske sisteme za prozore, vrata, fasade, atrijume i senčenja i uz jaku prisutnost u Srbiji i globalno. Groje je globalni lider u rešenjima za kupatila i kuhinje i stil, napredna tehnika i održivost karakteristike su kompanije Groje, koja nudi proizvode kao što su slavine, tuš sistemi, spa oprema sa posebnim naglaskom na kvalitet i ekološku proizvodnju. Drugu sezonu Sfera podcasta podržala je i kompanija Knauf, lider u građevinskim materijalima još od davne 1932. godine i globalno je prisutan u više od 90 zemalja sa preko 220 fabrika. Sistemi suve gradnje, gipsani elementi, izolacije i završni materijali sinonim su za pouzdanost i inovaciju na gradilištima širom sveta. Velika nam je čast što nam u goste danas dolazi Odile Decq, francuska arhitektica, profesorka i umetnica, žena čije ime nosi težinu ideje, slobode i otpora. Odile je poznata po svom neukrotivom stilu i nekonvencionalnim stavovima i već decenijama pomera granice arhitekture kako fizički, tako i idejno. Dobitnica je brojnih međunarodnih priznanja, između kojih se ističu Jane Drew Award za doprinos osnaživanju žena u arhitekturi, Zlatnog glava na Venecijanskom bijenalu i Architizer A+ nagrade za životno delo, kao i počasnih doktorata širom Evrope. Važno je istaći da je Odile osnivačica Confluence Institute for Innovation, Creative Strategies and in Architecture, škole koja neguje interdisciplinarni i eksperimentalni pristup učenju i u ovoj epizodi smo posebno stavili na taj aspekt njene prakse, odnosno njene uloge kao edukatora i ulozi arhitektonskih škola u savremenom kontekstu kada smo suočeni sa izazovima koje nam nude nove tehnologije, tačnije veštačka inteligencija. Ovde ćemo istaći samo neka od njenih najznačajnijih dela, kao što je Banque Populaire u Renu, Makro muzej u Rimu, Frek Bretagne centar za savremenu umetnost i GLF Events sedište u Lyonu. Projekti koji spajaju tehnologiju, pokret, emociju i prostor. Odile Decq ne projektuje samo zgrade, već kako ističe, ona projektuje nove tehnološke mogućnosti i prostore u kojima ljudi mogu da se sretnu. Dakle, razgovarali smo u ovoj epizodi o budućnosti arhitekture i arhitektonske prakse, odnosno konkretno o ulozi arhitekata u savremenom kontekstu novih tehnologija i sve na neki način većoj diskriminaciji arhitekata u javnom prostoru i o ulozi arhitekata kao edukatora. Moje ime je Miljan Salata, dobrodošli u Sferu. Odile, welcome to the Sphere, and
thank you.
Thank you
For inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for accepting our call. It was organized very briefly, and we were discussing a bit your, arrival here, and you have a lecture, right?
Tomorrow. Tonight. Tonight, yes.
Tonight, actually. Yeah, and there is an urban legend here, an interesting urban legend that the French architect Le Corbusier, obviously we all know him, when he was arriving here in Belgrade, there is a legend that he said that this is the ugliest city in the most beautiful place. And I don't know if it's actually true.
I never heard about that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's actually true, and I don't know why this trope stayed here. I think it says something about us because we're always repeating this story. But I don't want to talk about Le Corbusier.
But when it was?
I don't know. I think it's story from I don't know when he came.
But when?
To East, famous voyage to East.
But when?
1911.
Very early.
Yeah.
So it was before, so it was an old city at this time.
Yes.
But what I saw from the old part of the city is quite nice. I don't know why he said that. Okay.
Yeah, there wasn't maybe new Belgrade, as I guess, was built after that.
So maybe this kind of architects, they say that because they want to publish and to advertise that. Maybe they can do something for that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
you know that.
He was trying to push
these guys are really like that. We are really like that sometimes.
Yes. But I think it says more something about us. I think it's a legend. I'm not even sure if he actually said that. But I was just interested, in your perspective of, maybe in general, more broadly, Balkan region or Belgrade. What's your first impression of this region? And when did you actually arrive in this region? You said something after.
At the end of the 70s, when I went back from Greece to Paris by car, I crossed different countries. And then I came back quite recently, when I went to Zagreb for giving lectures with Oris group. And I did some others if you consider Romania as Balkan, I don't know if it's okay.
Yes.
2 or 3 times. And Tirana, which is particular also, and then Podgorica and Belgrade.
Yes, and you exhibited worldwide and had lectures. And do you see maybe that there is something that we call, the center or the periphery of the architectural world? Do you see some differences there, or maybe ideas flowing between? Of course, we consider ourselves as periphery,
I think that you are maybe the center of Europe.
Really?
Because if you look at the geography, okay, now your neighbor is not nice, but okay. You have some strange neighbors for the moment. Yes. But in a way, you are close to the center of Europe, Okay, you are periphery if you want.
Yeah.
In terms of development, maybe.
Yeah, but do you maybe sense that ideas that come from, let's say, the so-called center have an influence here? Do you feel that maybe architects that come in Europe maybe influence practice in a different kind of way? How do you see like those fluctuations in the world right now in terms of like ideas flowing?
But ideas have always flowed, but now it's more and more. Because architects are traveling a lot. We are all traveling. We are all visiting. We are all building everywhere. So there is no one specific identity in architecture, but even that, I always say that an architecture is done for a place. So you have to learn what is this place and to understand what is this place, to adapt something and to make evolving your architecture, or maybe adapt your architecture to that place. And it's not just flying object, you know. There are some architects that have flying objects that landing there and landing there and landing there without connection to the land. But okay, no, I'm not like that. I prefer to say that an architecture is always done for a place.
Yes, and you
have to look at the context, look at the people living there, etc. Yeah.
He also said in one lecture, I think at Harvard, that you prefer the term architecture thinking instead of design thinking. And throughout your career, you can see like that you're trying to bridge different disciplines and different, let's say, sciences with architecture. How does those, let's say, form of knowledge and thinking reflect on your practice?
But I think it's not only for me; it's for all architects. Because if you refer to architecture thinking, what did I say in Harvard or in those lectures? This is that when you are starting a project, you are facing the problem from a different point of view, which are coming from different disciplines: art, philosophy, politics, economy, etc. So you are doing that by yourself without knowing that you are mixing and understanding your question or your problem through all these disciplines. So you have to be able to understand the other discipline to understand your project or your problem. And then you have to make a synthesis, and from this synthesis you make a proposal. So architecture is really connected to a lot of disciplines, and we have to study that. Architecture is not isolated. This is not a self educated or self-culture. I don't believe in that. Otherwise, it's ideology, and it's not for me. And this is why I always say that it's experimentation, and it's not a theoretical discipline. It's an experimental discipline that you practice and you experiment and you try and you do another one, etc. So this is an evolving topic.
Do you feel that sometimes when you do some certain exhibitions and installation, then you go back to a different scale and you do a building?
Yeah.
I'm interested in how does, thought process goes. Does this kind of have an influence? I guess it does, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. But it's strange because it's a good question, because it's not easy when you are an architect to go to a smaller scale. Because I remember very well when I did my first seat, my first armchair, I was asking for the people who were building them to build a prototype to the office. And I was looking at my chair and I said, it's too small. There is a problem of proportion, maybe something, a dimension or whatever. So I sat in it and it was very comfortable. I said, it's strange because I feel it too small. So I asked for another dimension and it was absolutely uncomfortable. And I realized that it was the first time that I was designing and doing the same process as I was doing for a project, but for something which was smaller than my body. And now I'm used to do that. But it was 25 years ago. It was in the 2000. Even if I had the dream to design furniture from the very beginning, and it was the first time that I did it and saw it and use it. So it's very particular. So you have to, when you change the scale, we were more used at the school at the moment and in the beginning of my career to work from the architecture to urban planning. It was not natural and normal. But going down to the smaller scale is very particular. It was exactly the same when a friend of mine asked me to design a knife. How do you design a knife when you do something which is big and this is something in your hand? So I use pasta to make that and trying to feel comfortable with this knife. So this is very particular. But for the seat, I remember we were doing a lot of sketches, a lot of models, little models. We were looking at different chairs and checking dimension everywhere. But finally, we did right. But it was very strange for me at the beginning.
Yeah, I had this conversation about this topic in one of our previous episodes with Davor, Ereš, and Jelena. They were doing the pavilion of Serbia on this year's Biennale, and we were talking about architectural knowledge and how it bridges gap. And the Carlo Ratti, which was the curator of this Biennale, he proposed the subject, or let's say the framework for architects to think of how can architecture connect different forms of intelligence, not like knowledge in the sense of like absolutely knowing, but in terms of like a process and thinking. And he said like, okay, we have the natural, the artificial, and the collective intelligence. Yeah. And then we were discussing, because they were working with different interdisciplinary teams, and I was asking them about the role of the architect, like what is this architectural knowledge like actually? And in that conversation, we said something about along those lines, that like it's the question of scale. We can travel more easily in terms of scale. I think it's an innate quality of humans that we can do that, but architects do it slightly better because we're trained. But also there is something about how we can critically maybe see different things and different point of views. And maybe our role is actually as mediators. Maybe this is our knowledge. We know how to mediate things. So I'm interested, like, what's on your on this? Do you see more value in architecture, like as an object, or like as a thinking form?
It's is it a form or is it an object? I don't think so. It's a product that you. It's something that, at the end, it's an object because it's a building. Maybe sometimes it's not a building, it's just an urban planning. But it's also a place where people, because when you describe architecture as an object, you see it from the outside. And for me, it's not from the outside. It's from the inside and the outside together. So this is not the same than an object. Because you design a space, and the space has two. If you design a line, there is an interior and an exterior if it's a wall. So there are two sides of this line. So exterior and interior. And the object is not just an object. It's just because when you design a chair, there is no interior and outside. This is just an object. When you design a knife, this is the same. But when you design a space and an architectural building, it's really a space and an outside. It's not an object. This is why I don't describe architecture as an object.
Yeah, because for me, it's kind of a difficult position when the client comes. I'm not sure what I'm offering. Is it like a product, an object, or is it kind of way of looking at things? Okay, let's start to think together about this problem issue and how we can solve the problem. And sometimes it will be object like this. Sometimes it will be an installation or a bench or knife or This is very difficult. Sometimes it's very difficult to make understanding your client what you are doing, because they always think that you will do a plan, but it's or
not.
A render.
Yes, so or random, yes, or an image, and sometimes they ask for an image without that you don't know what you are doing. So this is complicated to make them understanding that it's not a plan, it's not an image, it's both and something more. And a space. So this is very complicated. But I always try to make them, first it's difficult to make them understanding what is architecture and what we are doing. This is why I always question them to what do they want, what do they want, what do they ask for, etc. And trying to understand them with their language and using their language to bring to them architecture, which is not easy. At the beginning, you don't understand, you don't have to speak about architecture to your client. Because if you speak about architecture, they don't understand. It's normal.
Is it easier after all these years? Now you're a well-established architect. Does it become easier, or
it's easier because they know that they will be surprised, whatever. So it's easier.
Okay.
So if they don't want to be surprised, they don't ask me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I listened a couple of your interviews. I forgot the name. I will remember later. One of your interviews with one of your colleagues from Brittany, and you were talking about how architecture can solve problems, and immediately a question rose in my head. We architects like to talk about solutions and how we are offering solutions, but we don't like to talk about when we try to offer solution, especially when we're offering like big solutions for society, we always create more problems. so
different problems.
Yeah. Yeah, different kind of problems. So My question is about like the power of architecture. Do you see it as a something that can offer solution, or like let's say art that has some kind of transformative power in the beauty that it offers, like a cultural...
Art is the first questions only. Because it's questioning you. You don't know what it is, you don't know what. So it's always question. Architecture, yes, I think that we are problem solvers. That we say that most of the time. But at the same time, we are not the same. So every architect is solving the problem differently. This is very complicated for people to understand that. When you have a competition, the question is the same, the conditions are the same, the contexts are the same, but the solutions are different. So how to choose? You don't know. So it depends of the quality of the client, the quality of the jury, the quality of the commission. Is it a question of beauty? Is it a question of how to inscribe a project in a site? How to solve the problems for the functionality of that? I don't know. It depends. This is why a jury is always a discussion, because we have different point of view. And the architects are proposing different proposal also, and we are not the same. It depends on what we are focusing. Because in the question that we are facing when you start a project, there are most of the time there are contradictions, because the program, the brief is saying something, but there are something which is in contradiction with other functionality or is other context or whatever. And you have to find where are the for me, it's more interesting to focus on that contradiction, to create, to develop these nodes as maybe something to enhance this node because it's interesting, and it's propose something which is unexpected sometimes, and it's why it's interesting. And yes, it's interesting what you are talking, because we are developing the thematic of in the school, we are developing the thematic of the pleasure in architecture for the next semester. And pleasure, yes, because nobody's talking about pleasure. Everybody's talking about technical problems, solving the world, solving the planet, doing about carbon, whatever.
Yes.
No, pleasure. Everybody forget about the question of quality, about the question of creativity, the question of, so we are talking about pleasure. And I was looking at, I was asking to my assistant, ChatGPT, to develop that, and it's very interesting, because it was not talking. This is an algorithm. Yeah. But the discussion seems
Sometimes it seems very real for me.
Yes, but this is an assistant. Somebody told me, you have to use it as an assistant. Okay, it's my assistant. And I discovered, and it was very formal in a way. And at one point I said, but why? Sometimes architecture is surprising you. Sometimes architecture is giving some, which is unexpected. So he started to develop these unexpected things. It was very interesting. Try to do that on ChatGPT. You will discover that it's interesting.
I'm to be very honest, more and more I was first using it like a robot, but right now I'm starting to be a little bit afraid. Like if it starts to rule the world, we have to be nice and to give him nice inputs about us. So
no, don't be nice. You can be very rude with it. It's no problem. Yeah. There is no problem. This is just a machine, but it's an assistant. Yeah. So he's trying to find for you the solution. Because it does, when I was doing that, it was 2 weeks ago, I discovered that he was working exactly when I was working, when I was asking me a question, looking at different topics, looking at the different references, etc., to make a text. And he did the same, but faster.
Mm-hmm. It also reflects how you communicate with him. I noticed when I'm being more nice and more human, he starts to respond in a more human way towards me.
But it's normal because it's a machine, you know? It's normal. So sometimes he said, yes, you're right. Yes, it's correct what you said.
Yeah.
This is stupid. Yeah. So, but okay, we can please him if you want. Or it, because it's an it.
It's an it. We don't know yet.
Yes. But I have my only problem with that AI is that this machine ChatGPT is American. No. It's not because of that. It's just because the culture and the way he answers is with a kind of an ideal of a way of thinking of American, which is different than we are European. And I wanted to bring more European or more another way of thinking. So I came to Mistral, which is French. Mistral AI, which has exactly the same discussion. And it was more historical. It was very boring. So it was very boring. So I said, why? And I started to fight with him. We sit. I start with Mistral.
Yeah.
Yes, and I said, okay, ChatGPT is more interesting.
More, yeah. For me too.
Maybe the data are bigger.
Yeah, because I think that in a certain way, and I also asked him,
It.
So that, or her, whatever. I asked it like about our inputs that we give to him, and does it in a certain way reflect on how it behaves and how it responds on a larger scale? And it said yes, and that I'm not really.
It will never answer to you no. You have to know that.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
That's true. But that topic is actually interesting, and I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about this technology along these lines of like connecting different types of intelligences. I personally believe that we at some point we will merge. We also already started to merge. The solutions that you said, like you give him certain inputs, you talk with it, and then it responds, and then you have some output that is done by together, like your and his or its intelligence. So how do you think this intelligence integrate with architectural thinking? And I'm wondering about more and more, what is our role as architects? If it can produce drawings and images and text, and what is our role?
This is a big question, a very big question. This is exactly what I'm asking myself when I do this school of architecture. Who they will be my students? And I don't know. And how will they practice? Because they will not practice as myself. But I'm already not practicing as my teachers. It's every time the same. But this time it's a big step that we are creating. So, and if you think about, I have a little story to tell before. There is an advertisement that I was receiving sometimes recently, and my assistant at the same, that there is a guy talking in front of the camera that saying that he has a house and he wanted to do the interior design of his. And he said, I asked my wife to do the interior design. Why is the wife? I don't know. And but she couldn't do it. I asked AI and he did it. And I said, my God, this is so sexist. This is so bad. And this is an AI which is very sexist at the same time. Yeah. But I was thinking at the same time, if he has to design a house, maybe the AI will design a house. I'm sure that it will design a house. So what, as an architect, we can do with that? So you have to understand how to be creative, to inform, because we are informing this machine, this algorithm. When this is the same that we inform ourselves when we are doing sketches on the paper, and which is more difficult for the young people today, but okay, we can do it. And we have to be able to think how to develop that, and to be creative, to be unique, and to propose solutions which are not the same. Because if you look at the drawings the images that the machine is giving you, this is so obvious. And I was always thinking at the beginning, when I tried at the beginning some years ago, that it was postmodern, because it was accumulating images and accumulating the drawings from the past, from before you start. But now it goes so fast that it's immediate. So this is immediately what is able to do, so maybe what you are able to do yourself. So we have to understand how to make it as an assistant in the drawing and the design conception. And I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer. I remember a long time ago, maybe it was more than 10 years, there was some discussion on some Facebook group about AI developing plans, and like all architects, so this is so bad, and this will never change architects, and we have this type of thinking. I was just thinking about chess, and how the first game, I think Deep Blue and Kasparov, they played, and Kasparov, I think, lost or played a Remy or something like that, and everyone's like, okay, we survived this. But then the question immediately rose, what will happen in 5 years? Because no one thought that the computer will be able to play. So it's certain tasks, you have a certain constraints, you give the size and the shape of the room, and you just say play chess, and he will start moving and make different combinations. So it will do better than us. Different,
not better. Because how do you judge this is better?
Exactly. What are the criteria? Yes,
it depends on you.
Yeah, and then
not at it.
Yes,
depends on you.
Yes, because we come back to the idea of like, or the notion of the knowledge, you know, you have to ask why this is good and why this is not good. And okay, I don't need this for this kind of task. And as you said, like it's always going affirmatively. Whatever you put in, it says yes. So,
and you know, this is also a question of how you can manage that to be more, how can I say, to be more self-critical, because you have to develop your own self-criticism. You have to be able to do that. And it's why I always say to the students, I start to think about the students like that for being self-critical, they have to be able to read, because they have to be able to describe, to explain what they want. If their vocabulary is very short, if their way of writing is very short, because they don't read, it will be a bit minimal. But the more deeper they are reading, the more intense they are reading, they are developing their brain, developing that. And it's a question of today, because the young people in schools are not reading at all, because they are not unable to read a long text. They are able to read only abstract, and it's very particular. So this is a challenge today for teaching.
Exactly, but I went to high school, architectural high school. I didn't go like to gymnasium. So we have here technical high school. So it's 4 years of architecture before studying architecture. And you were doing like technical drawings. And we were mostly drawing by hand. And I was always asking myself, why am I doing this? This is so boring. You have a computer, it can do it fast. But then when I came to faculty, and maybe after 2 or 3 years, it took me 7 years to understand why we were doing this manual work.
And why?
The same reason why you do math and you have calculators, right?
Yeah.
Because you're practicing a certain way of thinking, a certain logic. So,
but for me, it's a question of also, I always explain that very simply, that the distance between your hand and your brain is longer than your eyes into the screen.
Yes.
And when you look at the screen and you want to design a circle, it has to be precise. When you do a circle by hand, you start by doing that, and you go further, and it becomes an ovoid. Why not? And you ask yourself, why not an ovoid instead of a circle? If with a machine, we can't do that.
Yes, and there's also, it removes the mistake.
Yes.
It moves the mistake, which is really, really important.
Mistake is the best, because mistake is not an error. It's something that you can make it as a benefit for your project. Yeah.
And also one more thing that I think that AI will take a long time, if ever, to replace. I think it maybe can never replace that. Is our mediators we are the mediators in the public arena between different actors, and how is AI going to replace that? So.
We don't know. Maybe a machine, a drone.
How do you let's return back to in today's context? Like, can architects really be mediators in today's world, where we think like we have this dominance of like the financial aspect of everything? You know, everything has to be described in a certain money value.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult to get a point across where you're trying to get...
This is why nobody wants to have architect now. This is why the general public is hating us. Because they think that we have maybe too much power, because we can explain, we can explain why this part is bad and why this part is better, and people doesn't react like that. They say, I like or I don't like. But liking and unliking is not a good solution. You have to be able to explain. And if you explain, maybe you make evolving your ideas. But today, people are really, the general public is more minimal than that. They want to be like or unlike. This is what they do on their telephone every day, all the time. And this is why it's complicated for everybody to have this development of ideas, developing of thinking, etc. This is why this is our role as educator, to make that, to help people as a young generation to develop that, and it's complicated.
Yes, and also to go maybe beyond the arena of only the architects. We have to start engage with the public and be more educational in the sense. I think our position.
But it's difficult. It's very long and it's complicated to do that. Yeah.
But I'm not sure if we ever, as a discipline, thought long enough about that aspect of our profession. Like there are several, NGOs here that are trying to, from let's say the field of urbanism, who are trying to explain to the public what's going on in our cities, how procedures go, why this is good, why this is bad for their life.
Ćao ljudi, došli smo danas u obilazak našeg partnera Alumila. Oni se nalaze na Novom Beogradu i tu smo ispred zgrade GTC Greenhouse. Ajmo da uđemo.
Sve je smešteno u svetao, pregledan ambijent koji poštuje arhitekturu, uz tim koji je otvoren za dijalog i koji želi da isprati vašu ideju do najfinijeg detalja. Na jednom mestu, jasno i pregledno, predstavljeni su svi ključni sistemi, od minimalističkih kliznih sistema Supreme S650, preko prozorskih profila Smartija, sve do sertifikovanih fasadnih rešenja za savremene i energetski efikasne zgrade. Ako projektujete, gradite ili jednostavno želite da osetite kako izgleda dobar detalj u prostoru, verujte nam na reč, ovaj salon zaista vredi posetiti. And it's starting only to develop this, let's say, niche of our profession. And also, like what we're trying to do.
With urban planning, it's easier because you're right. We have to explain.
Yeah.
We have to discuss. We have to explain. Yeah. And people start to be concerned by urban planning, but not often.
Yeah. Only when they are endangered by it, when they see that the danger is immediate, which is too late then.
Usually, yes.
Then they start protesting.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about your passion for education, and you always emphasize that you like working with students, with young minds. What drives you still in this age with well-accomplished career?
In my age, I'm not so... Excuse me. My God.
Sorry. I wanted to say like a well-established architect, I'm having all these years of well-established
Because
practice.
it's important. Because it's important for the future. Because I'm concerned by tomorrow. And because I'm concerned by tomorrow, I would like that the young generation is able to work and to propose solutions for the world, to propose a new way of living, whatever, to integrate the new ways and the new disciplines, the new technology, to make the living better as the humans. This is because I'm concerned by humans and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is most important for, since a lot of young architects listen to this podcast? What is like the most important thing, maybe most important thing, or several things that you want to get across to your students when you're teaching them
to be curious, and to not check only on architecture, but to check on everything in the world. What is how the society is developing? How you live now when your parents were not living like that and your grandparents were absolutely not living like that? What are you doing? So questioning yourself about what are your habits, how do you live, how you use the spaces, how do you do that, and to propose something for tomorrow. That means being curious, because I'm fascinated by objects that today nobody wants to speak about. Cars, planes and boats, because these technical objects are very interesting to look at and to discover how they are evolving. But now nobody wants to drive and nobody wants to use cars. Okay, it's bad. They said that it's bad. I don't believe in that, because it's important to travel with other people, to be together going somewhere. And not only because you're in a train or in a plane, because when you're in a car, you have a little group and you can start to discuss if you do a long trip. But the people that are, maybe you don't drive, you just bike. But biking is very slow, short distance.
Yes.
A car is longer distance. And when you are with 4 people in the car, you discuss on the trip.
We have an app here, it's called BlaBlaCar.
Yes, excuse me, this is French.
Really?
This app is French, yes.
It's French, okay, but it's an interesting name, BlaBlaCar.
Yes,
like exactly.
This is exactly that. It's blah blah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and like the best conversation that I ever had is with people that I meet.
This is why you need a car, you know?
Yeah.
You are against car, but you use it. Excuse me. You have just to think. Because you will not do that on a bike. Because when you are on a bike, even if you travel by 2, you are like that. So you don't discuss that. I had this discussion last weekend with an old architect who, in a little place in a very And he had a very specific bike with 2 bikes on both sides, with a machine which is covered with solar panel on the top. It's a very strange object. But he said, because I don't want to be with my wife like that, I want to be with my wife like that. So it's interesting. Because he said, I can discuss. Otherwise, I don't discuss.
Yeah.
So it's human relation.
How do you see the relationship between the mentor and the student?
Mentor?
Or like, for me personally, what I think about what a mentor is, I don't
Nothing.
think... Really?
You don't have to listen to them. I always say that to the students. Don't listen. When I go to a school of architecture, I said, don't listen to your teachers. Do it by yourself. Try to invent by yourself, to discover by yourself. The more that you can research on yourself, okay, they give you advices, but they are not a mentor. You don't have to copy them. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, that would be maybe that's my notion. Maybe my English is bad, so maybe I switch the terms. But tutor is someone that's guiding you very strictly. Mentors,
a coach. I call that a coach.
A coach, yeah. But that's why I ask you. So you want to say that?
I don't want that my students are doing like me.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in that.
Obviously, yeah. You're just there to
help them.
Yeah, along the way.
Yeah.
And connecting with this topic of AI, and I also with David Gloucester, I remembered you had this interesting discussion about what is architecture school is all about today. Why would you come to school to teach when you have like internet and AI and everything? What is the role of architecture?
Not to teach, to help the students. Not to teach. We don't have courses in my school.
What? Yeah, of course.
We don't have a person which is sitting somewhere and the students are listening. This is stupid because they don't listen.
And how does this program function in your school?
They learn by themselves, and the people who are called the teachers, in a way, they are coming and explain them how to understand and how to do that and how to do that. Because this is, if you ask the new generation. You are young, but not enough young from my students. Mm-hmm. My students now are 17, 18, so they are born in the 21st century. You are not born in the 21st century.
Yes, end of 20, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this is why. 21st century, and I always tell them, and I know that they are forgetting, when you were in the 20th century, born, you were not thinking about the 19th century. They're in the 21st, and they don't have to think about the 20th. Now they're in the 21st. And they have to think, what is the 21st century for them? So that means what they have to do in the 21st century. Because if you think back in the beginning of the 20th, all the big architects of the modernist way of thinking were born, and they started to invent. And to invent things, not on architecture, not only because of architecture, they were inventing because of the way of helping the people with their health. Because when you were building this huge flat with big windows, it's because to provide sun into the flats. Before, the houses were with little windows. And thanks to the pastor and all this medicine, and we knew that the benefit of the sun for the health, they opened the windows. So this is had an impact. Medicine has an impact the research in medicine has an impact on architecture, in a way. And you have to think what are the development of today to make new another way of thinking architecture. So this is why.
But I still think you have to know.
I have left.
But I still think you need to know history. It's just what you're saying is maybe way you look at history, not in like a strict sense of this is what I should copy. But
you have to look what this person has done in reference to your question.
Exactly.
This is what how you have to learn history.
Yeah.
And give you references by the way people were thinking, not people the way were designing.
Yeah, also try to learn from their mistakes.
Maybe, yes, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, which doesn't necessarily mean that you or like we don't make mistakes. And
no, we won't. It's because we are human, we do mistakes.
Exactly.
This is what why we enjoy humans.
What do you think architecture school of the future should offer to the students, except this let's say the background? I'm thinking also about the physicality of meeting points. For our architecture schools, we have these long hallways, like a very old academic building, but we have these very long hallways in our school. And there are certain windows, and students often sit by those windows and meet each other. I think we're losing more and more these spaces, and I'm thinking...
Ask Davao with my school. This is a place where everybody is working together from the first year to the fourth year. So they discuss and talk and they meet all the time.
Do they have like a same, maybe, how do you say, you say you don't have lectures, but it's difficult for me to imagine because my school was like, lectures and studios.
Because you were academy, yes. It's normal.
Yeah.
This I decided not to do. When I started to think about this school, I was discussing with some other architects. And step by step, when we were discussing, at the beginning, I was thinking doing a normal, usual school, but differently. And I didn't know what means this different. And I was looking at what was happening in the world 10 years ago, because it was 10 years ago. And I discovered that there are many schools experimental in the world. For example, in Finland, they were experimenting not having courses of history in the schools. Why? Because they said with internet, you can search for history, and the teachers, the people who are called teachers, they are there to make you understanding what you read and how you can understand that, and why you have to search that in relation to that. So this is a kind of organizing your brain, not just repeating what you learn, but organizing your brain to understand different questions. So it was very interesting. And I saw that there are also some schools in states that they were doing the same. So I decided to do that. And I said, this is the way to teach. And we call at this time the Montessori School of Architecture, practicing by learning by practicing, not by receiving the knowledge.
This reminded me of and emphasized that you're autodidact. Can you explain to us what that means?
What?
Autodidact, like
autodidact.
Yeah.
I didn't have schools, No, because yes, it was. I was studying in the 70s, and at this time the schools have been broken in France, and because of 68, and it was just really after 68. But in my school, where I started for 2 years in Brittany, there were a Canadian architect who decided that as first year we couldn't talk to the third and to the fourth and in the fifth, and we couldn't go to the library. We just have to be in the room all together and to start to do something with him or some other teachers, videast, photographer, gym, whatever. It was very strange. So I did that for 2 years, and after that I said, maybe this is not only architecture, this is not very architecture. So I went to Paris, and I went to a school where all the students or the teachers who were there were the one who did 68, the revolution. And they were not coming at school, they were not on time, so they never. So we were just discussing together. That's it. This is why I said, okay, I have to learn by myself how to. So I was thinking this is very good. So when I decided to do the school and started to explain my new school, I was thinking about that. Because most of the architects from the 90s and who were considered as the 40 under 40 in France, we were mostly coming from this school. Because we had to organize ourselves, to learn by ourselves, to be more autodidact in a way, because we didn't have courses or lessons. So we have to understand what we can do. Okay, it took for me after my diploma a certain time to understand what is architecture, because I didn't know. I finished with my diploma with doing a project, but not knowing how to do a perspective, not knowing, I couldn't draw, It was very bizarre. So I step by step learned by myself. And when I decided to do this school, Peter Cook asked me to come to London to discuss with Nigel Coates, who was establishing a new school of architecture in London too. But he was doing a third cycle, a postmaster, and we discussed together, and we discovered that we had the same ideas. But both of us studied in the 70s, and we said, it was because we were from the 70s, and we knew that organizing by yourself is better than being taught by a teacher from above. So, and his school is still existing. My school is still existing.
Very, very interesting. What you mentioned about the whole idea of how school actually works and what it's supposed to. And when I go back, I think this is also where and how I learned the most, or at least I think some of my friends and colleagues that I work with at the time would maybe share this opinion. But what you said, like it's a meeting point, and it's more about learning yourself and going to pick up different information. Maybe professor can give you some historical perspective in the sense of like giving you certain information because there is millions and millions of data and history that we can learn from, but someone has to maybe give you a certain guide and say, okay, these are some basic principles, but you don't take them too seriously. Just be critical about them and try to learn from them.
Yes, exactly. Because this is why maybe you are, but this is why when I explain that because I do lectures everywhere. So when I start to explain my school to some teachers in one school of architecture or wherever it is, they always say, yes, we wanted to change also the teaching in the school, etc. But it's very, very difficult because it's really difficult because most of the time they are in universities. And universities are very strong and big machines, heavy machines. And they are inside the system that is very difficult to change. This is why I escape and go by myself. But it's more risky. Yeah. And we didn't have money. So it's difficult to not having money for you start a school. So I managed a system to get money, but it was complicated at the beginning. I had to give money to my school myself. So this is complicated. And you have to trust and to believe that it's possible to do it. And you have to find people that can believe in you or trust you doing that. Because at the beginning, we started with 6 students only. The first year we had 6 students, so it's not so much.
I guess you were in communication still with them, your students, yeah?
Yes, they're still there.
Yeah. How they're managing? Good?
Yes, but what I like in my school, this is because my school is under my office, so it's easy to go. And they are smiling when they saw me going down. They are smiling because they're happy in the school, really. Yeah. And there are some who were before in another school for 1 year, 2 years, and they come here because they are a bit despair in their school. And after 1 year, they start to be more happy and really enjoying the school. And they said that this is a place where they feel better. And they learn a lot because they learn by themselves.
It makes me think right now of what makes us happy when we're doing our work. When you start going to offices and practice and years pass and you start to lose the joy and lose slowly, little by little. I mean, we're trying to do these kinds of things, to make us more excited and do competitions. And I was wondering what excites you now about projects that you're doing right now? Is it like the beginning, the new process?
It's always the beginning. It's always the creative process at the beginning.
Are you afraid? I'm still afraid when I'm starting a new project a bit from the blank paper. I have some kind of, not like on a conscious level.
But because you are young. It's normal. Because you are young. Because my brain is working for me, Mm-hmm. Like if it's ChatGPT for myself. No, my brain is working for me. Because the project I'm working on now, it's a new project, not a big one, but a very interesting one. And when the client sent me the site on a paper for the plot last year, but saying, okay, you have to wait because I have to give you all the information. So it took for him 1 year to get all the information for the city and for himself. So when I saw the site on the paper for the first time, I knew what I will do on it. And 1 year later, I started to do the same. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. And because my brain is working, mm-hmm. I have accumulated so much things in my head that my head is working by itself. Mm-hmm. And this is fantastic.
One last question.
It's the best algorithm, my brain.
Yes, the experience. Yes. The experience. Sometimes experience, at least for me, sometimes experience can be a bit bothersome. I'm trying to stick out some ideas from my head, but more than often now, I guess maybe will happen more often. The first idea is always the best one. I also do different things, but I go back to the first one.
But
like
but you have to develop it and then to go back and say, it's really, it's always that.
Yeah, you have to go back and do.
All the ideas that are coming when you brush your teeth. This is what I say always, because it's a mechanical gesture that you do without thinking, but your brain is working, and sometimes coming something.
Yes. I read some papers a long time ago about taking walks, and how writers used to have walks. Yes, this is the same.
Yeah. Walking is make you thinking.
One last question, Odile, about...
It's the second time that you say that.
Yes. I wanted to ask the question, but then I remembered something. The topic, or like the motto of this podcast is architecture as a place for enthusiasts and architects who view architecture as a mechanism for social change. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested in your view on this. How can architecture be a mechanism for social change?
A mechanism, I don't know. It's really we are doing buildings or urban planning to propose a better life for people. So if you propose and you provide a better life or better space for living, etc., you make a change, and people will change step by step. So this is not, you are not the guide for the social. You are doing something that help people to live better, and because they live better, they have a better way of thinking. They're social, but you have to also think about places for people meeting without knowing that they are meeting. Yes, because this is why sometimes when you do a building, you have a program with a list of rooms that you have to do, but sometimes you have to do more. You have to propose more without telling the client that you... And they said, but this space is not really... You have to make more what to say? It's optimization.
Yeah.
And I said, no, this is the way it works, like that. This is why I'm always do very large scale stairs and very comfortable stairs, because I'm thinking that the people will meet in the stairs. Stairs, yes, because sometimes they don't think about the stairs. The stairs have some regulation, but if you do a bit larger or a bit with more steps or more space in between, etc., you create a place for a meeting without knowing that. People doesn't know that they will meet there, because a stair is not the same than a lift. In a lift, nobody talks. And before, in the past, in the lifts, there were seats, In the old building, there were seats, and it was a place where people could sit and discuss, but it's very fast. The former lifts were slow. Now they are too fast. So you have to use the steps. And my little brother, one of my brother, who is a neurosurgeon, told me that he wants the architect to not provide a too short time to go to the lift and a shorter time to go to the stairs, to make people going to the stairs, using the stair because it's good for their health. And it's much better. You save the health of the people, making them using very comfortable stairs.
But they don't know that.
But you do it, and they use it, and you help them.
So spaces for people, for meeting, but they don't know that they actually need that.
And this is caring them at the same time.
Thank you, Odile. Thank you. Thank you for accepting. Thank you first in English. Thank you all for watching the episode. Hvala svima što ste pratili epizodu. Ovo je bio intervju sa Odile Decq, a mi se vidimo za 2 nedelje. Pozdrav još jednom za naše sponzore, Graphisoft, Alumil, Groje i Knauf, koji su podržali ovu epizodu, a sve vas koji želite da podržite rad Sfera podcasta, možete to da učinite klikom na link koji vodi ka Patreonu i podržati nas redovnim mesečnim donacijama. Hvala još jednom za praćenje. Odile, thank you once again. And
thank you.
See you on tonight's lecture.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.